I'm going to send you over the Facebook link as well.
Oh yes, yes. Let me know.
I got you. Right. Hello, this is Dr. Antonio Schroeder, and welcome to EchoSound Podcast Studios. I'm your host, Dr. Antonio Schroeder. We are going to start momentarily after these brief messages. Hello, welcome to Echo Sound Podcast Studios. I'm so excited about this podcast today. Hey, man, I have a powerful individual that we have as our guest today. I am Dr. Antonio Schroeder, and I am the creator of this platform. I'm the visionary of this platform, Echo Sound Podcast Studios. I'm also the sole proprietor. My mission is to create an engaging platform where we explore diverse narratives and innovative ideas that resonates to our audience. I believe in the power of storytelling and the importance of connecting through experiences. And so today, I do have a special guest, amen, here today, Officer, well-renowned Officer Tommy Norman. Mr. Norman.
How you doing? Thank you so much for having me, Antonio.
Oh man, listen. Words cannot even express. Honestly, I'm honored. I'm honored to have you on. I'm honored for your contributions and the things that you're doing in the community. It's not going unnoticed. I believe in divine intervention, and I believe that God connects all of this stuff when it comes down to it. So I do appreciate you for gracing our platform today. It's a lot. I know personally is a lot I can that we can go into and I can say about you. You know, so many accomplishments um, uh, being raised in North Little Rock, Arkansas, and your mission in itself, it shows within your actions, and we need more of that even now in our communities. And so I do celebrate that. As a matter of fact, I admire that. It actually it makes me want to do some things even more within my communities as well, just based off of your example. And so again, you have no idea. Like we appreciate you today.
Thank you. The feeling is mutual.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And so one of the things I wanted to I guess start off and ask, just sharing your heart and sharing the things that you are have presently gone through and the things that you are going through in terms of where you are, your experiences, and what you got going on. But I know one of the things is you was mentioning about community policies, and I know that that is very very important. It seemed like that's a lost art. It seemed like people have kind of moved away from this the I call it the protocol. A lot of the opposite. We have street credits. We got street protocol. Certain things you're not going to do on the street, but when it comes down to legalism or comes down to regulations, it seems like we kind of move away from it or we do it in part. And so I just want to hear from your point of view in terms of community policies.
When you talk about, you mentioned my heart. I had to say that I was born with a heart to give. And then, as a kid growing up, my mom, she raised a big family. And she taught all of my siblings to
Mm.
give to others, to people that don't look like us, to people um, that don't have as much as we have, some
Mm-hmm.
people that don't get to experience parts of life that we were able to experience. That could be going to the mall, going to the movies. That could be going to the grocery store and shopping for food. Some of the things that you and I may take for granted, but
Yeah.
growing up, my mom made sure that she taught us to include other people in what we did as a
Yeah.
family. And so, in a sense, the entire community was a part of our family
Mm.
growing up. And so, you know, being a police officer was never on my radar. Antonio, I never thought I could be a police
Really?
officer. And
Wow.
yeah, because I thought that, police officers arrested people, took people to jail,
Mm-hmm.
that they didn't really smile. They were just all about, business and enforcing the law.
Yeah.
Now, don't get me wrong, that's what police officers do.
Yeah.
But I wanted to be a part of changing that narrative.
Mm-hmm.
And um, I know we'll talk about this later, but it's worked. It
Yes.
really has. And when you talk about community policing, that term is used loosely. It's used a lot.
Yes.
But as we all know, actions speak louder than words.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I totally agree. If can you imagine a community really, taking it upon themselves to really begin to be active within their communities, and where they could be now, and how much of effect it could be within individuals, because it does start with individualizing. It does starts with person by person, when it comes down to it, because that's how you're going to affect people. That's how people can feel that you're authentic and to feel that you are real within your approach. And man, you that's some good stuff. Yeah,
And you bring up a great point, Antonio. You're right. You have to start with one house, one
yes.
front porch. Then you
Hmm.
go to the next house. Then you go to the next block. Then you go to the next neighborhood.
Yes.
And I can tell you this: being a police officer, a white police officer in neighborhoods of color,
Yeah.
the trust and respect did not happen overnight.
Mm.
I'm really big on, if you're going to show up, you need to come back. So
Yes.
if you're sitting on your front porch with your kids, I roll up. Hey, I'm Officer Norman. I'm assigned to your neighborhood. Just wanted to meet you and say hello. Here's my phone number. If you need something, let me know. Is that the only time I'm going to see you? Let's hope not. I need to come back the next day or the next week.
Right.
Hey, I'm coming back. This is Officer Norman again. How's it going? Any concerns in your neighborhood? And then we keep that relationship going, and hopefully that is a domino effect where it doesn't just happen at one house and one street. It happens across the entire city.
So in other words, consistency is important. Like they got to see you. Like if you, man, this guy's he's consistent. He coming over again. Like oh, he came over again, and he acts like he cares. Like he really is about what he's saying. And I'm like, talk is cheap. I've always said that. And so people need to see that. People need to. I just posted something about love and like love is something it's a mystery. Is inherently you won't know it until it's sometimes expressed. And so when we start seeing those actions and those patterns like that, it says a lot. It says a lot. It
You,
does.
you you hit it right on the head, and you don't show up with a pen and a notepad. You
Right.
don't show up. You're not showing up looking for a suspect in a crime. You're showing up because you want to know about this family. And
Come
let me go
on.
into a little bit further, Antonio.
Come on.
When is your birthday? Where do you work?
Mm-hmm.
How was your day? How are
Yeah.
your kids doing? And you know what happens? You do that for say 6 months or a
Mm-hmm.
year, and
Mm-hmm.
guess what happens? You get invited to birthday parties of that
Mm.
family,
Mm.
graduations, weddings,
Mm.
hospital visits,
Mm.
and guess what that means? That means your family,
Yes.
and
Yes.
you don't show up at those occasions in your uniform. You show up wearing this right here,
Come on, bro.
or what you're wearing,
Yes.
because you want them to see beyond that badge.
That's right. That's right. That's right. And then it becomes authentic. I remember and doing, branding and marketing. And sometimes, back in the days, I would write down every envelope to personalize it. So it won't be like us, oh, just print it. And I said, no, because when you personalize it, it shows that, that's another level, another level of intimacy too. So
Yes,
I like the way you said that because being able to show a different side of you, it shows like, okay, there's a layer to him, and I can feel that, I can feel that love. That's powerful, man. I guess that kind of moves to my next question as far as with race relations, and I know that I know you were saying sometimes that can be very very difficult.
yes,
Sometimes because of the fact that we have this stigma, and we're not like realizing that we're all human, and that we all have the same emotions, we go through the same issues and same trials, and so if you can explain that real quick as far as on your end, as far as your experiences with that, and
no, it's a sensitive topic to some people,
yeah,
but not to me.
right,
And I'll tell you why. Is the proof is in the pudding, and I say this with complete humbleness, but so I grew up with a lot of friends that were of color,
mm-hmm,
right? So I had black friends,
yep,
Hispanic friends. When I became a police officer, I had to reestablish those. This is going to be kind of deep, but I
yeah,
had to reestablish those relationships and friendships because those people that I grew up with thought that when I became a police officer, that it would change the person that they knew me to be.
right, right,
Because I'll say this, that some individuals, I'm just going to keep it real, when
yeah,
they become police officers and put on that badge, it changes who they are.
it does.
Because as a police officer, you have power. You can take away people's freedom.
Come on,
Uh, you take people to jail,
yeah,
but you have to stay grounded. You have to stay humble.
yes,
If you as a police officer feel like you're bigger than the next person, then we have a problem.
that's a problem.
So let me go on to this next part is, so here I am. We talked about me sitting on front porches. A lot of the front porches were black people that were sitting on their front porches. Well, here I am, a white police officer coming into your front. First of all, can I come into your front yard?
Right,
Step number one. Step number two is, can I come onto your front porch? And the ultimate step, at least my personal blueprint is, can I come into your dining room and have lunch with your family?
wow,
And that happens every Sunday. People that follow me know that every Sunday I go to Granny Dorothy's house. She has her 5 grandkids.
I love it.
Just yesterday, we had lunch together.
Yeah,
So picture a white police officer sitting at a table with 5 or 6 people of color.
Mm.
in 2025.
Mm.
And it should be a common practice,
Yes.
but it's not always that way in every community. So back to the race and race relations, ever since Trayvon Martin and Michael Brown in Ferguson, Missouri, and
Hmm.
everything that happened after that, a lot of the race relations, they took a big hit,
Yeah.
right? And I think that the more police officers are in communities and they get to know people and they come back. And when I say get to know people, so your skin color is black or brown. Let's
Right.
find out about the heritage behind that skin color.
Come on.
That's deep, right? And
That's
so
deep.
you can be a lazy police officer and you can drive around for 8 hours a day with your windows rolled up, forming a disconnect in your community.
Mm.
Or you can park that police car when time permits. You can talk to the gentleman that's mowing his yard. You can
Mm.
talk to the family that's at the park playing with their kids.
Hmm.
You
Hmm.
can go into a barber shop that's in the neighborhood that you patrol.
Yeah.
And let me say this, it's not going to happen overnight. You're going to get some side eyes. You're going to get people looking at you as like, oh man, the police are here. Why is the police here? The police are there because they want to care about you and your
Yes.
community and your neighborhood.
That's right.
And then ultimately, at least the way I'm concerned, is when I go into neighborhoods, I'm not looking for color anymore. I'm
Right.
looking for people. I'm looking for the stories in there and get to know them and form relationships. You talked about this a while ago, Antonio, but two of the key components when you talk about public service and really community policing is relationships and commitment.
Yes.
So if I come to Maryland and I meet you in your neighborhood, let's try to form this relationship. Officer Norman Antonio, right? But then we both have to hold each other accountable. Let's stay committed to this relationship.
Right. Right. And that's and that's the key factor. And that's when authenticity comes. That's when the realness comes. That's when it's like, okay, you are what you talking about. Because my people call your people, and I'll get with you. I'll hit you up every now and then, and it's really not. It's not genuine, and I like the way that you're setting the platform for accountability, not just for yourself, but also for them to say, you know what, I'm going to go a step further as well, to form a respectful relation, because yeah, that's important, man. That's very, very important. Like I said, looking at your page, brother, it brings conviction. You hear what I'm saying to you? Like it. listen, listen. Personally, it's like, man, I can do better. You know what I'm saying? It's like because I see the example, and that's good. This is a good conviction, though. You know what I mean? Because I think deep down, all of us want to do that. It's just the fact that some people they don't have the wherewithal or the or the I'm not going to use the word, like some people just lazy, man, and some people don't want to take the next step in doing that, but they want to do it. They want the photo ops, but they don't want the effort.
Man, listen, you are speaking some real deal truth. And let me tell you, you're right. Some people are lazy. Some people only show up when the cameras are around.
Yeah.
I will say this, that when I became a police officer in 1998, there was no Facebook, there was no Instagram, there was no
Right.
Twitter, there was the internet, there was MySpace.
Yeah.
Um,
MySpace. Oh Lord.
right,
Yeah.
but you talk about commitment. So for people that follow my page, they know who Amaya is. Amaya's been around forever, right? I
Hmm.
met her when she was 2 years old. She'll be 14 this year.
My God, man, that's
Okay,
wild.
so let's talk about, and we have maintained that relationship.
Yes.
And she has kept in contact with me. I've kept in contact with her. I'll get to see her graduate from high school,
Wow.
her prom, all of the big things in life. But not just her. There's so many other kids out there. Little George and Tashay
Wow.
and the 18 and so many. But you brought up a word that you can't teach, and
Yeah.
that is being genuine.
Yes.
Whether you're genuine or you're not, because if you go into a neighborhood and you're fake, people are
Hmm.
gonna they're not going to trust you.
Right. That's right, man. They're not gonna trust you. You just said the mess, the big word. They gotta trust you. People have to trust you. They gotta know that you're genuine. You know, um, that
Exactly.
that that
Exactly.
that's important for me. I just know that, you know, my words got to be my bond. I got to be about what it is that I speak, and I'm real. You know, and I can see I can see the echo. I can see the expression of your mother and what she has instilled in you, because it is man, I wish I'd have met your mom's, because she's the bomb, because we can see her legacy through you, and that big heart of hers, and you are an example of that
And
grace.
guess what? And guess what? My mom's gonna see this, so you need to go ahead and say hi to my mom right now.
Hello, mom. I'm talking to you.
Yeah, she will see this, and she
Yes.
gets a whole lot of credit for the man that I am today.
Yes, yes, man. Kudos to your moms, man. Kudos to
Thank you.
her, and
Thank
it,
you.
it speaks a lot of volumes of who you are. So I celebrate that, man. I really do, I really do. Um, what is showing up and coming back? I know you did mention that a little bit, but what
Oh,
is showing up?
I would love to break it down even more, Antonio.
Okay,
It's when you say showing up and coming back, it sounds simple,
yeah,
but and it really is, but
right,
not enough people do it. You talk about the lazy person,
yeah,
and maybe a person that doesn't care quite as much as they should.
right,
When I say show up, first you have to show up for your community. You have to show up for your neighborhood. You
yes,
have to show up for your city and for your state.
right,
But if I'm going to show up, meet you, have a cup of coffee with you, I've got to come back,
come on,
right? You got to come back the next week, the next month, the next year, right? Because once the neighborhood and the people that are way off the beaten path, once they see that familiar face, and not
yes,
just my familiar face, but other police officers that have been policing these neighborhoods for years and years and years, you got to show up in times of need, right? You got
yeah,
to show up in time when people need you, not just with pulling out a set of handcuffs or writing down information on a notepad,
right,
but you got to show. You can show up at you can enter a home as a police officer and leave there as a friend.
wow.
And that happened with Miss Emma. Miss Emma passed away, God rest her soul. I think last March.
Oh man, sorry to hear that.
I I got called to Miss Emma's house because her family in another state couldn't reach her.
Hmm.
So they called the police department that I work for. They
Hmm.
sent me to her house. I
Hmm.
knock on her door.
Hmm.
She looked at me. What's going on, officer? I said, ma'am, your family can't reach you. You're not answering your phone.
Yeah.
Can you give them a call?
Hmm.
She said, sure. But she invited me in her house. So I entered her house as a police officer, right?
Hmm.
Official business. We talked and got so close, and she prayed for me. In 30 minutes, when I left her house, I left there as a friend.
Wow.
Walked in as a police officer, left as her friend. But then I came back. So I showed up. It does matter why and how you show up, but the bigger
Yeah.
component of all that is you coming back.
Yes.
So I may show up because I got dispatched. Maybe there was a 3-year-old playing on the phone calling 911, right?
Right.
So I meet the kid. Hey, don't play on the phone. I meet the mom, the dad, the brother, sister. But then come back and follow up with that,
Yes.
right? And it's easy. It's easy to show up and come back, but it's only easy if you care. If
Right.
you don't care, it's going to be really difficult for you.
That's and that's good. Yeah, you're right, because it's really important, man. Just with the mental capacity and just how the mind works and how the heart works. People need to see that and see you come back. Um, man, it's so much that I can take from this. Literally, just to see the kids' faces too, like just to and see the joy on their faces. It's I. it was one. I think I seen something where you had picked up a little girl, a little baby, and like I felt the love. You understand what I'm saying? Like
Right.
that is something where you can't teach that. Like you can't, and that's what separates you from to a regular officer, in my opinion. You know what I mean? So I do appreciate you for that, man.
Thank you.
Yeah, definitely. So I'm gonna ask you, how police should really be policing communities and also like communities of color, because I know that that's something to where you got the cheat code. you know what I'm saying? I'll be real. I'll be real with you, Mr. Mr. Norman. You need to have a straight up course on this very topic, man, because you have that cheat code, man, that you are welcome to any barbecue. You are welcome to anything dealing with anybody. It's like you're relatable to anyone. And some people are so incoherent. They're not approachable. They're very anti. It's just they don't have that expression, man. And it rubs off for you so well and so genuine and so easy. And we know it's real. And so I know that when it comes down to this, as far as with this, what is the proper approach to where someone may not necessarily, they may not have, the courage to do it. But
You're,
if
you're, you bring up some good points. You talk about a cheat code. I call it my personal blueprint.
yeah,
It's my personal blueprint that I created. But you just brought up something real important for that new police officer out there that just got out of the academy,
mm-hmm,
and he wants to make a difference, or she wants to make a difference. You're right. Maybe they don't have the courage. Maybe they're a little nervous to. They're driving up and down the street every day, and they see this family in the front yard
yeah,
playing kickball with their kids, and
right,
and each day that officer gets more and more eager. I really want to get out and talk to them.
yeah,
Now let me say this, Antonio. The first couple of years of my career, I would
mm-hmm,
honk my horn and wave.
mm-hmm,
Guess
mm-hmm.
what? Not enough,
Wow.
right? That's the lazy approach. It is.
Yeah,
Now you can honk and wave, but what did you just find out about that family? You
right,
found out that they have an arm that they can wave back, but what do you know about that family?
right,
Now I'm not saying that anything's wrong with honking and waving, but
right,
no, put your police car in park.
mm,
Get out. And for that new officer, I know there's going to be a lot of officers watching this.
yeah,
For that new officer out there, you got to start somewhere,
mm,
right? If there's a 90-year-old lady on the front porch and she's a widow, start with her,
yeah,
right? Because you're going to, I don't care what senior citizen you talk to, when you leave from that conversation, they're going to make you feel really good,
yes,
right? And I can tell you how it started with me. This young lady, her name was Olivia, and she was probably 5 or 6 years old. I was new to the police force. I'm driving down the street. She waves at me. I wave at her. I pull over, and she asked me to get out. And that's how I really was able to kind of break the ice. And sadly enough, this young lady passed away in a vehicle accident several years ago. But
oh man, wow,
every time her birthday comes around, or her death anniversary, I always share the story. I'll
yeah,
have to send it to you. But
yes,
she was a brave young lady of color.
mm-hmm,
And here I am driving down the street. I know exactly where the house was still today. I pass it. And she asked me to get out and we become friends. But it's going to be rare that you're going to have a member of the community ask you to get out of your car to have a
mm-hmm,
conversation. You have, as a police officer, need to take that first step.
yes,
That's the only way it's going to work. And let me say this: you're not going to build that trust overnight.
yes,
Let me go even further. The badge that you wear,
mm-hmm,
the uniform, the police car, those are symbols. Those symbols aren't going to earn trust. It's you,
that's right,
your reputation, how you treat people.
yep,
That's what's going to earn you trust. You showing up and coming back, that's going to earn you trust.
that's
You
right,
respecting people, you respect their heritage, you respect their integrity.
that's right,
Some people ask me this question. So, Officer Norman, you're nice to all these people. You go to birthday parties. You sit at their dining room table for lunch. What about when it comes time to arrest people?
That's good. That's good, bro.
So let me talk about that if you
That's a
don't
good
mind.
question. Yeah.
If you have gained enough respect in that community, if someone breaks the law, and it could be someone
That you
that you
know.
waved at, that you sit
Mm-hmm.
on their front porch,
Mm-hmm.
they trust you enough to where they know that you have to do your job.
Yes.
Does it ruffle some feathers? It does. And I kind of tell you another story, Antonio, where these kids I got so close to
Mm-hmm.
in their front yards. I would get out and play with them. We would play basketball, throw the football. A few months later on down the line, mom and dad get into a physical altercation.
Mm-hmm.
Had to take dad to jail.
Mm-hmm.
They see this officer that was in their front yard. They love me. I love them. But
Yeah.
now they're really confused.
Yeah.
But then you
Yeah.
have to build that trust and respect back to the
Right.
level you want it to be. And the
Right.
reason I bring that up is that's a very real thing that can happen,
Yeah.
right? And so those situations are unfortunate, but it takes that officer to go right back out there and say, hey, I'm sorry this happened. I was only doing my job,
Mm-hmm.
and hopefully that friendship can be on the mend.
Yes. To a certain degree, when you building that rapport, they will know your heart um, when it comes down to it because you have to protect and you have to serve too.
You
So
bring up a great point. You're exactly right. You
you know what I mean?
hope that all the time you spent in the lives of these people, if you have to take one of them to jail or a family member, that they understand that.
Yes.
Are they going to be disappointed? Yes. But you hope that they bounce back and say, hey, this officer's been here. He's only doing his job.
Right. Right. Yeah. And again, that's hope. That's what you pray for. And I know that sometimes it's like, oh, this is going to be difficult because I got to go to this house knowing that I love and care for this person and you know what I mean. I can only imagine that feeling when you know you got to go over to someone.
It breaks my heart as well.
Yeah, yeah, I can imagine, man. But yeah, but again, it's one of those things. They know you got to do your job. So
Exactly.
I totally get it. Um, what was your journey from a kid finding your way um, in life as far as now being a global figure? Because you are a global figure, brother. You are very known. Before I got a chance to know you, before we started following each other, I've seen you over the years. It's like yeah, you know some folk, and people know who you are, and so I know it has to be a little. If you can explain your world, in terms of this, like what you know, when it comes down to it, explain that, like finding that way and finding yourself to now. It's like, whoa, I would never thought in 1,000 years that my impact will be this. You know what I'm saying?
It's something you take the words right out of my mouth on a lot of these topics. But first of all, I mentioned before, never thought I would be a police officer. I didn't have the confidence in myself because growing up as a young kid, I was a giver. I volunteered. I went to nursing homes. Before I was even old enough to drive, my mom would drop me off at places to volunteer because she knew how much it meant to me.
Yes.
And in 1998, I see that there's an opening in North Little Rock, Arkansas for a police officer. And my uncle, Don, was the chief of police of a small town here in Arkansas. And I wanted to kind of follow in his footsteps. But
Mm-hmm.
I'm thinking, no, I mean, I volunteer. I go visit people, the sick and the shut in,
Yeah.
and police officers and the badge and that is just not going to jive.
Right.
But I went ahead and applied and got hired, went to the police academy, got out of the academy.
Mm-hmm.
Initially, I was on midnight shift. Didn't like midnight shift because people are sleeping, and I want to talk to people. I want to, I can't sit on front porches at 2 in the morning. And so
Yeah.
finally I get on a shift to where it's the evening shift, so it's 2 p.m. to 10 p.m. People are awake, and
Yeah.
that's when I find these neighborhoods and these people to start talking to.
Yeah.
But let me tell you where it changed for me. In 2014, I had social media, right? I started, Facebook, whatever that, the main ones, and then Instagram, and then Twitter. Um, but my followers were just local followers, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, people that know me, and,
Yeah.
I'm throwing the football to kids. I
Yeah.
posted. I was just doing but it would get some reaction, 100 likes, 50 likes, 75 likes.
Right.
Let me tell you how my platform grew tremendously is when Michael Brown was killed in Ferguson, Missouri
Mm.
in 2014.
Mm. Wow.
Whether right, wrong, or indifferent, people were angry at police officers.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
People with large platforms. I mean, Snoop Dogg, Chris Brown, Monica, Rihanna, and others. They would share my work,
Yeah.
right? So they see this police officer, and for whatever reason, they decide to share my work.
Yeah.
So then you go to Eric Garner that was killed, and then you go to
Yeah.
other people of color that were killed by police.
Mm-hmm.
Every time that incident happened, I would wake up the next day. I'm not exaggerating. My followers would grow by the hundreds of thousands, where
I see.
I was getting interview requests. I
Mm-hmm.
was on CNN.
Mm-hmm.
I've been all over the United States speaking
Yes.
about my story, about policing and how policing has worked for me. And the story is the same every time, Antonio. It's so simple.
Mm-hmm.
Get out of your car,
Mm-hmm.
right? Show up and come back.
Yes.
Consistency, commitment is so big.
That's good.
You also have to hold that community accountable to make the right decisions and do the right things. They also have to hold me accountable.
Yes.
Um, and that's it. You look now, Instagram, 1.7 million. Just like you just said, if you would have told me in the late 90s, early 2000s, all right, give it about 15 years
Yeah.
and you're going to be traveling across the United States
Wow.
and you're going to have millions of people follow you. I would have looked like you, like maybe you spoke something illegal. There's no way. There's no
Right.
way. I didn't ask for any of this.
Right.
I did
Right.
not. I wanted to be a police officer to change the narrative.
Mm-hmm.
But what's happened to me the last 10 years, it's a God thing.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I feel like
Oh yeah.
then let me stop and say this. There are police officers that do amazing work all across the United States.
Mm-hmm.
I do feel like God used me during the time when you had protests and riots.
Mm-hmm.
He used me as an example of the way policing should be done,
Right.
the right way. And I remember I called my mom. I was like, "Mom, I'm getting so many requests, so many interview requests to travel, to speak.
Wow.
It's just phone calls, emails, people that want to travel from hundreds of miles away
Yeah.
here to meet me.
Mm-hmm.
Um, People that want me to show up at their wedding and see their baby born, and even to come speak at funerals. That
Yeah.
never happened as a rookie. That
Yeah.
I wasn't even thought about then.
Right.
But what's happening and what happened because it's been going on since about 2014,
Mm-hmm.
2015.
Mm-hmm.
It hasn't stopped. And I
Wow.
always think at the end of each year, as you think about, okay, here comes the new year.
Mm-hmm.
We'll use 2025 as an example. So
Mm-hmm.
at the end of last year, I'm thinking maybe God is going to prepare me to pass the torch.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
He tells me he's not even close to me passing the torch. He tells me that I'm far from sitting down and enjoying
Yeah.
a cup of coffee and watching the sports center all day. He tells me that in that fire,
Yes.
that in 27 years of being a police officer can really take a toll on you. But I do feel like that I'm a police officer for a different reason.
Yes. Yes. If I may interject and say it, it's like a ministry to me. Like I
It
mean,
is.
because
It is.
because you really are ministering to people. and you're doing it in such a unique way. Um, we don't of course obviously we don't put our face to it, like, but you really are impacting people greater than someone would do it from a synagogue, a church, or from other platforms. But and it's unique because it's often don't happen. There is not another Tommy Norman. Like it's like I don't see, not to say no, because you did say earlier there was people like that, but like I said, your philosophy and the way that you move and you shift, and a lot of people not doing that. You understand what I'm saying?
I understand. I want to. This just came to my mind. You talked about, and I talked about people seeing you beyond your badge.
Yeah,
I remember a few times where people would see me at a grocery store while I was on duty,
yeah,
and they would see me in my uniform, and they would say, "Oh wow, we forgot you were a police officer." Now I took that as a compliment. I'm going to tell you why. Because my goal has been, since I became an officer, for people to get to know my heart,
yes,
right?
mm-hmm,
And for someone to say, we forgot you're a police officer. I had to think deep into that,
yeah,
but it meant to me that what I'm doing is working.
yes,
Because they forgot that I even wear a uniform. They're more
yes,
focused on the being genuine and being organic and being
yes.
consistent.
Yes, exactly, the person, and again, like you said, being organic, where that's the whole premise. That's the goal in itself, because man, when someone show you love, that humbles you. You won't
Yes.
it will humble anybody. It can humble a drug dealer. It will humble, somebody that don't really have a father, that just got anger issues. It really does humble any child, or a human, a man or a woman.
Yes. Yes.
And because it just takes that right person, like, oh man, uh, Officer Norman coming, or that's a wrap. I know once he talk, that's gonna settle you right down.
Yes.
That's what we need. Like, people talk about medicine. No, we need that love medicine. We need that medicine where it's gonna really, deal with the membrane, and deal with the consciousness
Uh,
of
that
people, man.
you're speaking some really really powerful words, and it's not so much hard work as it is heart work.
That's
Heart work.
good. Yeah, that is good. What you just said, hard work. Oh
Heart
man,
work.
man, I'm gonna have to take that.
Go
I'm-
ahead. Go ahead, because hey, I'm stealing some of your lines as well.
well, look, if you start making T-shirts, let me know, man.
I got you. I got you. Tommy and Antonio.
But no, no, man, I appreciate you, man. And this interview in itself, it speaks volumes. It speaks a lot. Um, and again, kudos. I mean, one of my last questions was about your mom being a single parent in the household, and how she just raised you to be the man that you are. That right there speaks volume, because oftentimes, being a single mother, you know, sometimes that can go left, and but love, man, it doesn't matter about. Sometimes it don't even really matter if the man wasn't even in the house, because man, when you have that mom that really will just show you the right thing to do, and love you, and leads you in the right direction, it just speaks so much value and
Well,
volume to.
I let something really important out, and this is going to open your eyes even more. My mom raised 9 kids.
Get out of here.
9 kids.
Stop it.
So you talk about that single mom,
Get
not
out.
one, not two, not three, 9. And to be quite
Whoa.
honest, more than that, from kids in the neighborhoods
Neighborhood.
that
Mm-hmm.
she took in. And so, I mean, she's still here today. She's still here today. And like I said, she'll
Wow.
watch this video whenever it airs. And
Oh man.
any speech I give, I'm speaking in Chicago in a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
My mom is one of the first people that I talk about when I give my speech. And so it has to be her.
Yes.
Without her, there's no me.
Yes. 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 I'm gonna tell you, it speaks volumes too. Like I said, even with that, because for myself personally, It's about legacy to me, right? So
Yes.
I have 5 children. So it's about legacy to me. So I want to be able to what I'm carrying, what my father instilled in me and my mom instilled in me. You obviously you want your kids to do well, and so when you instill that type of principle, it just speaks volumes about your legacy. In
Yes.
general. So yeah, that again. Like I said, I take a lot of mental notes. I take a lot of notes, especially when I see it. And
Right. Exactly.
yeah,
Exactly.
and again, you're one of the good ones, man, and I admire you, in a lot of ways, and I definitely don't want this to be the one of the only interviews. Hopefully, in the near future, we definitely can connect.
Yeah, and I do think there's a lot of bigger things happening for me and you, and like you said, maybe later on down the line, when I get close to the retirement, I can just kind of talk to you about my career and
Yeah,
how it's a wrap. But I can tell you this is when I do hang up the police uniform, I'm not hanging up my heart.
come on, come on, bro.
Not hanging up my heart. I'm
No,
still going to give the last breath I take on this earth. I want to be given in some way.
come on, bro. Listen, well, you speaking good. You speaking good, man. Listen, bro. Listen, I'm not gonna get emotional here, brother. But that is bars. That speaks volume, um, because love is what's going to draw people.
Right.
And so when you have that, man, is and change and being an impactor, impact in a person's life, it does so much, man. I know it makes me feel good. It makes me feel
Yes.
good
Oh,
to
yes.
see other
Yes.
people, succeed and move on and get out of whatever they were in. You know,
Exactly. Love is a huge component of that.
yes, absolutely, absolutely. Well, Mr. Norman, I don't want to hold you up any further, but one thing I can say, I do appreciate you for this powerful interview. Um, like I said, this is definitely a blessing. We appreciate some of the nuggets, the cheat codes, some of the intervention and inspiration and information. So, but other than that, um, man, God speed to you, man. God bless you and your family. Um, and hopefully by the grace of God, we'll definitely connect very very soon. Um,
Yes.
but I just want to say, man, thank you so much for being my guest, and you guys, y'all already know what time it is. I would say follow him, but y'all already know who he is, so we ain't gonna even front. Y'all already know the man, so it's not like, oh, y'all follow him. Y'all see, look, listen, majority of these folk already know who you are. But yeah, we're going to continue watching you, man. Can continue to do what you're doing, and just know that we all taking notes. All right.
Thank you. That means a lot. It really does. God
Yes, sir.
bless you.
Yes, sir. God bless you too. All right, you guys. With that being said, we appreciate everybody, and until next time.